And there we go. We are recording. So, welcome to Secure and Grow Your Business Investment with Library Resources. Welcome you all here, and we're just going to go and get rolling. Oh, there we go. So, the first resource I want to point out is Weiss Financial Rating Series Online. So, I'm going to go back. I'm going to do a little disclaimer that I wrote up, just 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 to make sure that I say everything that I want to say. Um, I want to say the database can be used in various types of financial planning, such as college savings, retirement savings, banking, and insurance scouting, and by independent investors. And like I said previously before recording, also by you for investigating companies you hope to do business with. There are lots of tools and information contained in these databases. I will be showing off many of the tools. Any search or use of the tools, display of information, mention, or choice of financial product in this program is merely for demonstration only and does not constitute any type of financial advice or endorsement. You're encouraged to continue to do your own research and engage in using your own continuing financial education. And when necessary, contact and consult with appropriate financial professionals. The presentation is not individual investment or financial advice. So, wanted to see that before we get started. So if I show you a stock or something like that, I'm not recommending the stock or anything. It's really just an example. And any kind of insurance company, anything like that. I'm just giving examples today. All right. Why does that continue to hide itself? So I'm going to start with Wise Financial Ratings, and the way we get to these are through the library website. This is a real quick rundown of what that is. And so here's the library website. Hopefully we can see that on our screens here. Let's go and look in the where we'll get to this. And if you'll take lots of these courses, lots of the programs and stuff, they're gonna run you through a couple different ways to access this. If you know the name of the library resource here under research, you can click resources A to Z. I'm going to show you a place you can go to actually kind of like get a view of all of the resources that we're covering today, and that's right here in the business owner and investor so click on research and go down here to the business owner and investor section and click on that. And that's going to open up our resources for business owners and investors, and we're looking at the finance and investing section. So in here are all of the resources we're going to be covering today, and the three we're going to be covering primarily are Morningstar Investment Research Center, Value Line Online, and Weiss Financial Rating Series Online. And as we saw before, I am in the Weiss Financial Rating Series Online. So I'm going to go and open this up in a new tab. You can click on the name if you'd like. For Weiss Financial Rating Series, there is a special login. So you use your St. Louis County Library card, but you need to head it off by doing SLC00 and then the rest of your library card number. So here I've logged in earlier, so we don't need to go through the login process, but you can see where my name is up here. This is under my library account. I've created a watch list. Now, what Weiss Financial Ratings has is it starts with screeners. So it has banks and credit union screeners. And this might be interesting for you as to where you might be placing your money or who you might be doing banking with. And so these screeners, I'm just going to show the banks screener today. Just keep in mind when I show you these screeners, the credit union screener is going to work in a very similar manner. So we can go to the banks page. You can see across this top here, it has all their sort of reviews. And in banks, click on the banks options. You can also click on those options from the home screen, those graphic options. So they go around, they pick their bank of the day here. And then they have some recent rating changes that they've gone through. So what Weiss provides is safety ratings, and you can read. I'll also read exactly how they kind of go over their safety ratings, but they review the financials of the banks as they're reported to the various securities institutions that regulate the banks, and then they pull out ratings that Weiss thinks that more secure banks they go from an A to unrated and a low rating. And so you can see how these ratings kind of spill out. You can see how the ratings kind of how the curve goes in the ratings. So most of the banks that they have are in the B plus range, which is a pretty strong rating for banks. It's kind of hard for banks to get up here, and some of these banks are kind of member only kind of banks, or they might be working with certain financial institutions that you may not see. So what I really want to point out is how to use this screener, sort of how to narrow, narrow down the banks you have as you're looking here. So let's go and do click on build a screener. So here in build a screener, they have your basic screeners here, common screens. So they've got the largest banks, recommended banks, banks with most deposits. So these are pre-made screeners. I've made one under my account of Missouri banks that have a C plus rating. But let's go and I'll go and show you how I built that screener. So criteria we want to do. So we'll click on criteria at our first criteria. So you can see what they have here. They have capital in the bank, city, company name. That would be the bank's name, or it's sort of like a parent company. We want to go down. We want to see what states with branches. So if you're banking with that, you want to do states with branches. And so here you have the states listed. If we go down, we can select Missouri. Unless there's somebody that may be in Illinois too. Let's go and add in Illinois on that one as well. So here's our banks in Missouri and Illinois. We want to narrow it down because we don't want to have the 704 options we have here. We want to narrow it down to, we want to let's look at the safety rating. We'll add that to criteria. You can see there's a scale here. We want banks that are going B minus or better. Okay, now let's add in and let's try to choose another criteria. What might be a criteria that you all want to look for here? Possibly something you might look for in a bank. I can add that in. Let's go and look at most recent rating changes. See ones that are that have been upgraded recently. So we'll do that. So it brings us down to 50 banks that fit this criteria. So you can have them listed here. You can change the listing. So right now the default listing is alphabetical. So banks starting with A are here at the top. If we hop to the end, we'll see banks starting with, well, down to W. I would say Z if there was a bank starting with a Z in our list, but our filter has, doesn't provide those. If you also want to list it by rating, you can click the rating and it'll list it by top rating at the top. And if you hop to the bottom with the double chevron, you can hop to the end and see the lowest rating in our scale. Because the lowest rating is still rather high with a B minus. Let's go and just I'm going to go back to the alphabetical listing, and I want to look at this I'll look at Arvis Bank. It's one that's kind of well known. We'll go and click on that, and it's going to bring us up a page. It's going to have a summary of the bank. In this summary, it has the capitalization, asset quality, profitability, liquidity, and stability. Just basic kind of like your kind of ratings that they have here that Weiss has pulled out for you. You can see the ranges here as what's weak, fair, good, and excellent. So Arvis Bank has a breakdown of their asset qualities, corporate info, how to contact them, their website, profitability, and some liquidity down here at the bottom. I'm trying to see if you guys see what I'm seeing. Liquidity is covered up by the screen. So as you go through, you can see if there's any affiliates. Typically, larger banks, something like a Bank of America, may have separate affiliates that go in different states and whatnot. Arvest doesn't have any affiliates, so we can't look at that. But here you can see the history, and you can see the ratings changes that have gone through. You can see it's hovered between a C plus and a B minus, and it's actually gone up to a B here recently with their quarter two 2021 review. And they do a real quick overview of that history, what their net income was in each of these quarters or each of their reviewed changes. If you're looking at, you want to kind of compare banks side by side, Weiss offers the option to do that. So you can add in, click to compare another local bank. You can add on a bank here. So you can see how certain banks compare on certain financials and their indexes. So these are the indexes. These are kind of the scores that Weiss gives up here at the top. And these are more straightforward uh, quantitative things that they call it quality here, but these are quantitative things as to how they perform. And that's how they get this top information here. You can do that. If you find a bank you like or a bank you're interested in checking in again, Over in the upper right hand corner, you'll see a thing called watch list. You can add it to your watch list, and you can do this. The watch list will cover when you set up the account. Um, Once you set up that account, you will be able to kind of save that watch list, which is one thing good about Weiss Financial Ratings is you can have your own personal watch list. So you can set up your own personal account with this Weiss Financial Ratings. That's one thing I really like about this. I personally use it for monitoring my stocks and ETFs and seeing how Weiss does with that and see how they change the ratings on those fund stocks and ETFs. So that's what you can do here, and you can kind of monitor banks and see how they go if you like. One thing that Weiss offers is a one sheet report on a bank, so you can just download the report if you'd like to do that as well. And they do offer the industry comparison, where in the industry of the banking industry, you can see how Arvis Bank compares to other things, see if it's above and below average, where it's at on that. Okay, does anybody have any questions about this bank screener? Like I say, the credit union screener will operate in the same sort of way, give you some similar information, since they're similar type of savings institutions. All right, the next thing I'm going to cover is insurance companies. So I'm going to review over this. This is where it might get important for you if you're looking for workers' compensation insurance for any employees you may have, or a business insurance, and this might even help you scouting if you're doing like a consulting business or anything like that. This is a screener that you may want to use. So I'm going to go back here to the Weiss Financial Ratings. I'm going to show you the home screen. I'm going to show you a different way to get into these screeners, and that's by clicking on these icons here. So we'll click on this. Of course, you can always go off the top here as well, which is always there. This brings you right into the filter. Um, let's actually go into what that screener looks like. Well, this is the quick search. We're going to do a build a screener here as well for insurance companies. So I've got one already set up, looking for business insurance in Missouri. But we saw before, I mentioned workers' compensation, and we want to either, oh, that cleared all that out, didn't it? Business compensation. And let's look for health insurance as well. It's going to give us a lot of stuff, kind of a broad-based insurance. Let's basically leave health insurance out of here. I just want to show you what's here for all the options for you. So there's life insurance, auto insurance, all different types of insurance types that are listed here if you need that. So if you want to add in more filters, you can always add the criterion. We can see what it's right here. If you're doing health, there's different types of health premiums, what affiliation it might be with, where it's located in. You can see where it's licensed to do business. All different types of options here. We do have Weiss ratings if you want to do that. So we'll actually add that in there to our criteria as well. Narrow that down to have, as we had before, C plus and up companies. So here we have 308 companies that deal in business insurance and workers' compensation insurance in Missouri. So you can see them listed here. We have them listed by rating. And just as with banks, when you click on the name, it will open up the details of that insurance company. So once again, the same with banks, capitalization, everything like that, how they kind of rate that. Real overview of that. Largest affiliates, so these are affiliates in different things, the different things they might insure for, separate sort of like part of the family tree for them. For a large company like Travelers, you can see the long list of affiliates they have here. History of the ratings changes for the company. And you can also, like as before, you can compare insurance companies in kind of a quick glance. And in industry comparison, we'll see that it looks very similar to your banking option. and you can download a report. So if you're interested in downloading a report about travelers indemnity, just to have that, like the hard copy, it'll download a PDF for you. Open it up and have a real quick overview, just a one sheet for you. If you're somebody that likes to print something up or see something side by side, lay something out, this is one option for you. I know a lot of people like to do that. So, and for all of these, you'll see all of these listings. If there's a term you don't know and want to read, you're not sure, like, what is cash from underwriting? They do offer a glossary, so you can go in the glossary. Any term you can see up, you can see the definition of that term here. So they offer a glossary and any like major term that's listed on their on these summaries or these reports on the companies, you can look up in the glossary. I've used it because I don't know, and sometimes, especially when we get into looking stocks and ETFs, we can see there is abbreviations that if you're not familiar with financial terms, you might not be immediately familiar with. And just like with the banking stuff, you can add it to your watch list, and it will be sorted out for you. So we'll advance on to using Wise Financial Ratings to look at stocks, mutual funds, and exchange traded funds. I'm going to focus on just one of those, as with the banking stuff and the other and credit unions. The these outcomes look very similar. These screeners look similar. There's some little differences in how stocks, mutual funds, and exchange traded funds are listed for the SEC, that they might bring different things like annual fees or anything like that, or minimum investments that you might see, like you would see with a mutual fund, where your minimum initial investment might be a certain amount. Those will be worked out here. What I'm going to do is kind of do the middle ground between mutual funds and stocks, and we'll look at filters for for exchange traded funds, or ETFs, as you might see them called. So here on their home screen for ETFs, or their splash screener, are best you'll want when your returns, some rating, some the first thing is the rating changes, and so you can hop through recent rating changes that they've had, and you can see what they've upgraded and possibly even what they've downgraded there too. For you can also go a different things, so you can look at just recent downgrades if that's what you're looking for, or you can look at recent upgrades. And you can see how they have listed here. If you so you can see this chart here, as we saw with the banks, as to what they've rated buy, hold, or sell on the ETFs. You can look if you click on just on the hold option, it automatically makes a screener that lists all their stocks that are listed under hold, all their ETFs, in this case ETFs. Stocks will have the same kind of rating. Mutual funds have the same kind of rating, A to F or U unrated, and it'll have the listings right here. And we can see there's about 1,400 listed, so that's a lot. So we want to make a little bit better of a screener. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to build a screener for us here. So if we're looking for particular ETFs, we can do that. So let's go and use one of their pre-made ones. So here's the best low expense ETF. So these are ETFs that have a low expense ratio and have a good return. So you can see how their criteria is made up here. So the rating is a B minus or better. The expense ratio is under 0.56%, so under 0.5% a year. And they've got broken it down: 1 year total return, 3 year total return, and a 5 year total return. Of course, you can adjust these by taking out a look. So if you're interested in more of a long-term investment, you can take this 1 year total return, and this will filter that out for you as well. So they've got some pre-made stuff, and you can adjust these pre-made stuff as you wish. So for these interesting ETFs, we can pull in and look at this Vanguard Total Stock Market Index. Let's say we're interested in that. We can click on that. I'm going to go and leave I'm going to save the changes, but you can save the changes. You can save your searches just as you can with the other ones. You can name your searches, your screeners, so you can come back a month later, a week later, six months later, and run that screener again, and see if there's anything new that appears in your search parameter. Maybe something wasn't rated high enough earlier, and you've done that search again, and something went up in its rating because of the mix they have, or the or the stock sector that they've focused on might show up there. So here's the ETF. It gives you a real quick summary, investment strategy. You can go down. You can see their top holdings for this ETF. How much is weighted from the investment on there. Similar ETFs, if you like how that ETF looks, or if you want to invest with a different company or anything like that, gives you your basics right there. Price history. This is going to be your chart going through, and you can use this chart to scan in certain time periods. You can see how it's performed over the last 2 years, maximum, or you can even like bring it out to see what it's gone over the last 6 years or so. So the net asset value, which is a little kind of tracks close to price history, but it's a little bit different. It's that's a net value. A comparison, so you can use that similar ETFs, or you can compare other ETFs, or in this screen, you can just specifically compare ETF to ETF in the stock screen, stocks to stocks, and the mutual fund screen, mutual funds to mutual funds. And you can see, once again, like we saw with the other ones, slightly different rating option, but it'll show you how the risk and reward compares to other similar ETFs or stocks in the same industry. So you can see how it performs with other similar things based on the address, and get you a very visual look on how this performs here. So it performs lower on dividends than the industry average does, but it does have a higher option for reward, but also a little bit higher risk than some of the industry average for this particular ETF. Just like with everything else, I think everybody's probably getting used to how the screen looks. You can run a report, and you can add to your watch list. You can see my watch list goes up here. And since we've added some things to the watch list, and I've done that before, you can hop and take a real quick look at the watch list and see what this looks like here. So it has things I've added here before, doing different presentations. Some ETFs. You can just look at your ETFs. You can just look at mutual funds that you may have saved. You can just look at stocks you may have saved to your watch list. So if there is a fund or a stock you're looking at, you can always enter in the name or the ticker symbol at the top. So, for instance, popular stock would be Apple. You can do that. And it'll have it there, and it'll take you right to that stock. And of course, ETFs will have a ticker symbol, and mutual funds have one as well. For the banks, you usually have to you have to enter in the whole name. So you can see it here. All right, the last thing I want to cover, the thing I didn't cover because I had to log in. I'm going to cover one more thing after this, but is how to use their Metagap tool. So you all, I'm not sure of the age range or anything like that in here. I'm going to cover this real quick though. Weiss Ratings gives a Medigap report with Medicare. There's supplement insurance you can pick up, and what that does is it supplements your Medicare insurance, and all of those insurance types are regulated, and so they offer the same type of insurance, whatever type you have, and those come in at the and this is sort of the companies offering Medigap insurance in Missouri for your age range and what rates they charge. So if you want an example person, so they have a default email that you can see down here. If you don't want to enter in your email address, you can enter in the sample one. Oh. There we are. So the the email, if you don't want to get send an email file for you, you can enter in this dummy email, or you can enter in your own personal email, and they will send you a report. So you've started. This will help you make better financial decisions, and you can enter in, that's our zip code for the library there. So let's say you're a 70-year-old male, and this will create the report for you. It's going to take a time to create the report a little bit, but I believe I have opened this up before. Bef- what let's take the time to download. I'll ask a question of you all. Is there anything you see here in Wise Financial Ratings that you want to learn more about? We can spend a couple minutes as this goes and cover that if you're interested. Here we are. So here's the Weiss Ratings Medigap report that comes out. And what it does is this first part's kind of standard, not really customized as a customization we brought up, but it does tell you a little bit, little kind of quick rundown of what the Medicare, Medigap, and what Medicare itself covers, what Medigap covers, what Medicaid covers, Medicaid Advantage, just some real coverage breakdown. Obviously, you can find a lot of this also on the Medicare site, but we'll go down here. We're kind of the meat of what I really want to show you is going to be the ratings of the companies that Weiss has and what plans they have. So you can see the most popular plan is Plan F, and then what it covers, the kind of basic deductibles and everything. But we'll go down here to where the customization has started. So we'll actually, because the most popular one is F, you can see here. Here, Plan F. So you can see what Plan F covers in more specific details here under each plan. And then they have, this is where that, ah, I'll cover this just a couple of the financial literacy like education things. So just to learn a little bit more about that that Weiss has, and we'll kind of touch on this just real quick as to show you where those are. So with the Medigap options, so options, when we talk about options, you mean like just stocks, like ratings of stocks and such? This is what BJ asked. Yes. Well, I'll share that real quick. I kind of covered that when I went over the ETF option. It does have screeners and it does do ratings. I'll cover on that. So we'll do financial literacy tools before we hop out of Weiss, and we'll do stocks. Yeah. So we can see the for the Plan F for Medigap companies with the safety rating. So they'll show you what their annual and monthly premium are for these particular companies. And once again, with the Plan F, they have to offer the same kind of service. So this is has a high safety rating from Weiss, and they have their the annual premiums broken out, and then they have their premiums as they go down here. So you can use this if you're in like a business after you've retired and gone into business for yourself. This is an option to help you review your healthcare options. So for Weiss, so we'll go to the homepage on Weiss. So we'll start with financial literacy tools since that was here. Weiss does have real quick learning options. It's got consumer guides. So here's some financial literacy basics. So they're going to have these options are to help you kind of like shop for insurance, how to manage debt, how to invest. There's other different things right here. So understanding health insurance plans, saving for college, starting a 401k. So let's say you start a business by yourself and you're interested in going through here as to what that is. There's little short PDFs. This one's 104 pages, but they break it down real simply. I've actually learned a lot from these going through and reading these. So there's a chapter page. And so these are available all the time from Weiss, and they update them regularly with various different tools. That's what it is, um, and just all kinds of breakdown as to what those terms are. And it's real quick and really simple language as to how they break it down. I found a lot of information from here. So some more financial literacy basics that they have. Go back to the homepage. Um, We have like how to become an investor, and here's a planning for the future. So we already looked at 401ks, but there's other options here too. Savings, retirement planning strategies that might be of interest to you as a business owner. Um, Protect yourself from identity theft, making healthcare choices. So yeah, so there's options there. You mentioned stocks, so they do have a stocks review, and you're going to see. Yes, Monday. I just got back from vacation, so I'm kind of hazy myself. um, so so here's the stocks, and you can see the page looks the same as the ETF page or the banking page. They have recent ratings changes. You can build a screener as well, like we showed before. So if you're working on stocks, individual stock options, so you can see I've in previous iterations, I've built out the screener here. So I even have a screener that I have. I believe it's kind of a high dividend, low cost, or just based on cost. So I have one stocks that pay a dividend about a 1.772 to 5% a year, that have a recent closing price from $0 to $100. So that's why I've laid out here with options. Does that work with your stocks? That's a interesting thing for your stock options. We're going to cover value line, which you say you're familiar with. This just offers a different eyes looking at it and how they rate something. And I've done programs, and I've done it myself, where I've taken certain stocks and options and ETFs and looked at and done side by side comparisons between these, and you can see that they rate them a little bit differently. They have different parameters for doing that, so it really helps you if you're really particular and going heavily investing in a company, um, or working with a company, how they kind of rate and see these companies. A different rater may look at different things and weight them differently. Does that answer your question about the stock options and financial literacy? Particularly for Weiss ratings, I'll make sure to touch back on those on these other options we have here. Excellent. Thank you, Evelyn. All right. So as always with the St. Louis County Library, to get these resources, I'm going to hop you through. It's on the homepage. Go to research, here, business owner and investor, and under there, finance and investing. The next one we're going to look at is value line, which has popped up before. And here we'll just go to value line. And here's what I wanted to see before, how to log in. So you'll log in using your library, your last name as is on your library card. You'll put in your library card number and then your secret PIN. Okay, I think BJCZ is familiar with value lines offerings, so this will be for other people. But if BJ, if you have any questions about what value line has, or what the library subscribes to with value line, feel free to ask me as we go along. Um, so with value line, I'm sorry, I'll start off with the home page. With value line, just as you could with Weiss, you can enter in the stock ticker, and it's going to bring up that company here. With Valion, you with that here you only get quotes on options, on stocks, equities, whatever you like to call them specifically. Here, they'll give you a little tutorial, which I'll close out. But with Weiss, the main page is kind of this what's sometimes called a tear sheet. Gives you a real quick breakdown of the company's options. So these things up here, the safety and timeliness, are readings that Weiss has given it. So this is kind of a value added option, financial strength as as Value Line rates it. Just just like as with Weiss, you'll have different ratings for different companies. And like I say, it's really interesting to take these and look at these side by side. Um, value line for like larger capitalized companies, they'll do quarterly commentaries that you can read through and kind of see how they think the company's going, where it's been, what they might expect from the company. They'll give a narrative of why they've given it a rating, why the rating went up, why they took it down, and other options like that. And you can check through the history as well. And of course, they give the PDF report on a company. Other options I want to show you with Value Line are the investment education. You mentioned about financial literacy. This isn't so much as we saw with Weiss Financial Ratings, where it's like saving. What Value Line University does is there'll be courses more so focused on getting into investing as maybe more sort of as an income earner, but they also have like how you can build a portfolio, going over interest rates, expectations, stock prices. So they offer kind of like text-based courses on that. How to go over value line research, and then they also offer glossary yourself. So if you see something that comes up, hop over here to investment education, go to the glossary, and you can see what the P&E ratio is. If you see that list listed on there, you can see what that means here. So you may have to go price of stock divided by share earnings. You go, well, what's share earnings? So it may be under earnings or share, but you can use this glossary to begin to define your words, particularly if you're not familiar with that. Thing I really want to show in this presentation is the dashboard. If you go to the dashboard, they'll have a review of the stock market, and they'll have all the value line products that a library subscribes to, that you as a library cardholder also subscribe to. So it's a lot of interesting things. I like to point out the selection and opinion. So this offers more so a broad-based look at the market. They have sample portfolios in here. You can see how they build the portfolios and the commentary they have on the portfolios. If you're looking at year-ahead price appreciation, or if you're looking at more long-term growth potential, they have portfolios here. If you're looking to kind of build your own portfolio, it's a good place to research for you. Sector analyses of various different sectors. And other options right here. So if you're looking at a mutual fund, they do have a Fund Advisor Plus. So this is both a publication, and in this Fund Advisor Plus, there's also a screener. So the Fund Advisor Plus is a publication that covers, just kind of reviews a bunch of different funds that they highlight. With the screener, you're going to get the same information, a lot of the same information we saw, screening for the same information we saw at Weiss Financial Ratings. So these are the various different fund options you can do. You can look at high-rated funds. So you can choose the highest rating with Weiss. One is high and 5 is low, as you can see right here. So if you're just looking at high-rated funds with the least amount of risk, you can run that. You can run whatever other kind of returns you want on that, portfolio compositions, if what the fund invests in. Did that not go risk? Oh, overall rank. Yep, there we are. And you can run the screener as you establish your fund, and you can see the ones right here. These are high, these are inflation protected funds through Vanguard, and they typically have maybe something, they usually have a minimum investment that might be out of reach for the consumer. Sometimes these are called institutional investments. And so this one in particular has, this has just a $3,000 minimal initial investment. But as part of the screener, you can actually run minimum investments here as well. So fees and expenses in here has the load and other types of criteria. So yeah, so you can run whatever screeners you want for the funds and bring that out here too. Weiss does not give too many. They give the ranks and the risk for funds, but that's about the amount of ratings they give here. If you're looking for a particular fund, you can pull up a particular specific fund as well. Is that working? There we go. So there's a very similar thing, but you know exactly, knowing exactly what you're looking for, it's right here, and you can see the breakdown and all sorts of top holdings. I find Morningstar to be good. Now it's going to be something we're going to cover less. It's going to be a little bit deeper in the fund. For Value Line is very strong on stocks, stocks, options, equities, whatever we like to call that here. So yeah. It does okay on mutual funds and the ETFs, but yeah. So does anybody have any questions about value line while we're at it before I move on to Morningstar? Spend the last 15 minutes on Morningstar here. All right, I'm going to move on to Morningstar. I say I like Morningstar um, a lot for what it does with mutual funds. Of course, as with all the resources, I always like to show the path because sometimes people get lost as to what it is. It's one of the main things I point people to. So we have research, business owner investor, and finance and investing, and we'll just click on the name of the source we're looking for. So here's the homepage for Morningstar, and we covered stocks. So they offer, as with anything, if you go into equity, which is they offer stocks, you can screen for the stocks in there. Cover the journals. Okay. It's going to cover the general market here. Some of the research recently released research that Morningstar does. Some recent analyst reports on stocks and equities here. So you can see the report dates. Actually, when I checked this earlier today to see if this was working, there was just one up from December 6th. So you can see they regularly put out reports on stocks here. And so you can download the PDF of the report, or you can just go and click on the company, and it's going to take you to the page for that, as it thinks. So you can see this. You can see the full. You can bring up the full chart. One thing I like about Morningstar is its chart. You can plot out. You can see how the company compares. Not that it's the same sector and it doesn't necessarily compare. You can see how it compares to other companies, and you can kind of fiddle around with how your chart looks and how the growth is, and over the number of years. You can scan that, see the comparison. There. It should be offered here. Yeah, so it shows with Morningstar and with some of the other ones. Morningstar I find has a lot more details. You can see what mutual funds invest in this particular stock, or what large institutions invest in this particular stock. The executives in the company and the company profile. Little quick rundown. This is actually from Morningstar from somebody in Morningstar themselves, with a workshop I was given on this. The star rating is effectively past performance, and you'll see they'll have a gold, silver, bronze, and other ratings that we'll see when we look at mutual funds, and those are kind of like those are more the how future performance might go with something. So when we go in, I'm going to advance on to the funds screen. We can see the same breakdown of how the market looks, how different sectors are, medalist, recently reviewed mutual funds. So I'm going to actually open up, and I mentioned the analyst rating here. So this is what I mean by that bronze, silver, and gold rating. So if you're looking at recently reviewed funds and you want to sort, if you just click on the column heading, as we did with Weiss ratings, it's going to sort it by ascending or descending options. We can see these ratings right here. So as they kind of like I say, this star rating right here is past performance, and the analyst rating is kind of future performance, and that's what Morningstar kind of broke out for me when they gave me the workshop on this. As we go on, there are target date series for setting up for your retirement. And this offers, like Weiss has, this has a side-by-side fund comparison that you might have that you can use. And so it's kind of like it kind of works. Well, the fund comparison is comparing fund to fund, so one fund to the other fund. So if there's two separate funds you want to have, you can compare those side by side. It's a little bit more detailed than you would get in your find similar option. The find similar is just kind of your basics of funds. Let's go and look at fund similar. So it's going to take one type of fund, and it's going to find similar funds in that same investment strategy that fund has. Look at how, one thing that Morningstar does offer is their sustainability rating, which is a rating based on sort of climate change and impact on the planet. So if you're looking to maybe get something that might be more sustainable, you can add in there, and you can see how these funds will compare side by side, how their short-term performance is. So if that's something you might be interested in. I'm trying to watch my time here. The ETF is going to work similar, and you can screen ETFs. But somebody asked about you asked about financial planning and education. Morningstar does offer the investing classroom. It's going to give you a lot of the similar ones we saw with Weiss and with Value Line. And they have videos, and they have options on planning for retirement, financial planning, building portfolios, how to go in stocks, and they even have just videos if you don't want these text-based learning styles. They also have video learning styles as well. So yeah. One of the things that Morningstar offers that the other ones don't offer, obviously, Weiss Weiss has that personal watches that you can build. Morningstar offers this portfolio X-ray. So if you're building a portfolio from separate ETFs or stocks, this can be an option for you too. So I'll show you really quickly how to use it. In here, it's kind of basically it. The way Morningstar is set up is for individual users, but since we have a lot of users coming in, you can do this here. So if you just click on the view holdings and benchmarks, you can begin to in your stocks that you have invested in. So I'm going to do some of the stocks I mentioned before. Thanks. Some of these tech stocks. Just put some in here. And Tesla. Let's do 100 stocks in Tesla, 100 stocks in Apple. Because you do by stock, you can do it by weight that you have, or the number of. Actually, that's I want to do this by units. That's what I want to do. So, and of course, you can add with this. You can add your mutual funds in there too. And you can balance it against a benchmark to see how you perform against a broad range of benchmarks. With this one, they usually like to point to the general U.S. trade market is the general how the U.S. market is doing. If you want to go to a benchmark, if you hide this, it will make a report for you too. This is also handy if you want to put mutual funds in there and have the portfolio X way take your mutual funds and break them out and see how much you've invested with your mutual funds in different companies, or stack it with your mutual funds and ETFs, and it will kind of give you an extra of that and pull out, and you can see how much you maybe through all your mutual funds, how much you altogether have invested in, like I said, Apple or Tesla or the companies out there. I have my own. I've set up my own one for electronic vehicle stuff that I'm interested in. So I've done that. That go beyond Tesla, different types of electronic vehicle and other options in that sector that I have personally for myself set up. So it's going to tell you how your portfolio is stacked against the benchmark, the general U.S. market benchmark, how it's performed over the last 5 years. Yeah, so it's real interesting. They also have options for retirement cost calculator if that's something you're planning for, which is something as a business owner you should plan for the as your business grows and as you age out of your business. So you can calculate annual retirement income, any kind of current savings needed. So let's go and have this first default here. You can have your current age. Let's say you are a 30-year-old starting your business and you want to retire at 62. Um, Retirement income from other sources. You've got something you might want to know. Just do that there. And current savings. You have a small nest egg at 30 years old. Maybe you're lucky enough to have that at your current savings, but you want to kind of bump that up and do maybe $100 a month. And with general market, you can plan for maybe 8.5, and the risk-free return, you may be working at 2.5 if you're lucky. In some years, you can calculate that, and you can see what your savings are and what your annual retirement income might be. So you may want to do different plannings where you try to find a higher return, maybe save a little bit more, and you can see how that comes out there. So yeah. So do we have any questions about what Morningstar has to offer? Yeah, unfortunately, not in this version of Morningstar. If you have your own personal version of Morningstar, you are able to do that. But this is the library version of Morningstar. You just kind of have to with that portfolio, you kind of have to have it kind of written down already what your value is owned in a fund or a stock, and kind of visit back. It's a very awesome tool, and the one thing that would make it the best one that I would extremely highlight is if you could have your own personal one, like you have with Weiss. Weiss doesn't have the tool like the Portfolio X or saving that. But yeah, so since this is a library version of what Morningstar is, we don't have that for you as an individual. The only one you can have a personal kind of watch list is in Weiss Financial Ratings. Does that answer? Does that, yeah, you figured as much. It does, and the good thing with that Portfolio X-ray, if you're building that, is you can print it out. So once you build that Portfolio X-ray and that option, there is the generate report, and so you can generate that report. Let's say every quarter you want to check on that and compare that um, portfolio to your portfolio. So once you build that there, you can generate the report. Let me just do something. I'm going to throw in a few mutual funds here. I have some, yeah, I've got some written down. Thinking these are some funds. So just to show you how the breakdown of the funds do there here. And we'll do just the benchmark for, this is the balanced one. This would be investment. So 80% stock, 20% bonds kind of thing. Um, let's do that. What's usually a minimum investment. I'm not even sure about these, if that's actually the minimum for these. Like I said, these are just for an example here. And that breaks down. And so you can go down as I showed you before, and you can see your it doesn't like what I'm clicking. You can see how that's broken down. One of these is a bonds one, so it doesn't quite go out with what it has, but you can see how it's broken down. The percent of your total investments invested in a particular company. And then you can go to the generate report. It's going to be that breakdown. It's I think it's usually it depends on how much you have in there. It's multiple pages and it has the all the information broken down in a printable form for you. And it's got a long, as with anything, a long this disclosure form that you may or may not want to print up. A glossary in there as well with the benchmarks, how they arrive at their benchmark that you used, options like that. Well, we have we're coming to the end. I'm going to kind of stick around for about 5 more minutes. If anybody has any questions, I'm going to put up our contact information. I hope this was useful. It's a lot of information. Sorry about that I rushed through some things that may do that, but you can always contact us if you're using these databases again, and we can get you caught up, particularly if there's something you're very focused in. As you'll learn this week in the Small Business Expo, there's going to be the book librarian option, where we can, if some of you may have signed up for that, we're going to give you a little sample of what that is. It's going to be more specifically than what I have here. The programs cover the kind of shotgun approach that that book librarian will try to hit your issue dead on. All right. Oh, thank you. I always wonder, and it's also hard because I don't see people's faces. I don't hear feedback. It's also hard to know about my pacing. So I thank you all for attending. Once again, I have been recording this. This will be available on the library webpage if you want to share with anybody. Come back and watch it again. You are welcome to. It's going to be a few days before we get that up once everything kind of settles out. But I thank you all so very much. I'm going to go and stop recording now, and I'm going to